Hello everybody, I'm coming to you from a very bad audio setup with plenty of stuff going on in the background. Sorry about that, but what I'm going to talk about is very important. Important enough for me to quickly push out a video like this. So, this video is about ARK. ARK Survival Evolved is a game that hasn't really been covered on this channel that often, but it's one that I'm very connected with. I've always loved ARK in the sense that it basically does whatever it wants, and can have basically everything that you could think of in a messy, but charmingly so, package. One particular part of ARK that I've always adored is its mods, and how they add so much to the game, whether mythical creatures, other Vanilla X dinos, improved mechanics, and more. I'm personally part of an ARK modding team as community manager and wiki creator, and I've really enjoyed my time with this endeavor. However, ARK over time has also had its fair share of controversies, to put it mildly. The release of DLC during early access, the disappointment of the archaeology event, Wildcard's tendency to not fix long-term bugs, highly delayed updates, Atlas, the most recent creature vote for the upcoming Lost Island map, just to name a few. And such controversies and dramas have extended into ARK's modding community as well. A primary example of this was the addition of the map Valguero, which was a complete shit show, with some drama occurring between some of its developers that was extremely sketchy, too much so to really go into detail here, along with the fact that the map's flagship creature, Deinonychus, was almost an exact copy, in concept, of the Deinonychus from the sponsored mod ARK Editions. However, this video isn't about that. Instead, it's about a certain event which was very unfortunate at the time, but only continued to become more and more tragic as the months and years have went on. Before I properly begin, I'd like to explain that, although I was a part of the mod team that was involved in this drama, I am speaking for myself and myself only on the frustration of this entire situation. All of the members that were actually involved have no wish to be involved in this any longer, and would rather just move on from it, and I can respect that. However, I'm often a stubborn bonehead that hates stuff getting swept under the rug, so Wildcard isn't getting off that easily with me. Also, all the information I'm about to talk about is public, either on YouTube or on public Discord servers. Also, details on certain events might be shaky, due to its age and the lack of detailed public info, but I'll try to do the best I can. So alright, before we can talk about the problem itself, we need to start from the beginning. ARK has established itself since its release to early access in 2015 as a game that was heavily moddable. While the dev kit itself has a history of bricking PCs, that hasn't exactly stopped people from creating a load of amazing things. While there are plenty to mention, Anunnaki in particular cemented itself as the mod plenty of YouTubers were playing in the early ARK days. However, mods that specifically focused on creatures that complemented the base ARK experience were really hard to come by, which made it difficult for those who were looking for more than what base ARK provided. But this all changed in 2016 with the now legendary Monster Hunter mod by Garuga being released. This mod added many of the creatures from Monster Hunter into the game as brand new tames, with stats that complemented vanilla gameplay. The Monster Hunter mod cemented itself as one of the most popular and respected mods in the history of ARK, gathering a massive following, being acknowledged by various gaming journals, and inspiring a load of mods and modders to create similar creature mods in years to come. However, this wasn't to last, as in early 2017, the mod was shut down due to the threat of copyright infringement. This mod's death is what makes dates around this time tricky, so bear with me on that. Now, this wasn't necessarily a surprise. The mod itself entirely contained assets ripped from Monster Hunter Tri, and mods from similar games got the same shutdown treatment, like mods from ported Dark and Light creatures. The mod community started to understand that assets ripped from other games would get the mod shut down by the ARK devs for copyright reasons, unless the ARK devs gave permission like with Atlas. This is perfectly understandable. Can't have lawyers bending over the devs over copyright, now can we? However, despite this fact, the Monster Hunter mod was still gravely missed. Garuga, even after the Monster Hunter mod, was greatly respected for his ability to add completely new creatures into ARK in such a flawless and polished way, which is what made the loss of the mod all the more gut-wrenching. It touched the hearts of a ton of people, and made them wish that their favorite creatures could be in ARK again. I personally would have never gotten into the Monster Hunter series without this mod introducing me to its monsters, so I completely understand where people are coming from. Skip forward to May 27th of 2019, and a mod developer by the name of Shadlos thought he found a way to make this return a reality. In a sense. He announced that he planned to release a mod for ARK Survival Evolved that would add the flagship of Monster Hunter World, Nergigante, as a creature, with plans to be authentic to the creature's true nature and its movement and abilities, including having a spike growth system, along with a taming system that involved needing to keep these spikes broken in order to knock it out. How would this be possible? The Nergigante would be 100% custom made, custom model, custom rig, custom animations, custom skin. Everything would be completely made by the mod developers. As a result, with what was understood at the time, it would be safe from copyright threats by Wildcard, since it was not directly the work of any other property. This was a big promise at the time, so much so that the creature needed to be crowdfunded by the community, $1,000 to be exact, in order to become a reality. But in the end, that was a resounding success. The anticipation was immense, and it brought the community together in a big way. The ARK YouTuber known as Riot, in particular, spent $600 of the $1,000, which is what made the funding goal finally able to be met. There was so much excitement in finally being able to have a creature like this that could be free from the clutches of ARK's copyright rules, to have such a creation owned by the fans, who just love Monster Hunter and ARK, and want to celebrate the two games together. Which is why it is a shame that that would never happen. Around 4 months later, on October 2nd, 2019, Shadlow sent out this message in this Discord. It says the following. Everyone, I'm sorry. I've done all the research and effort I can, and I've spoken to multiple people regarding the subject. There is nothing I can do. Nergigante / Extinction Dragon will never be coming to ARK Survival Evolved. Despite the process being done in the exact same manner as Godzilla ARK and Domination Rex, there is no way to safely bring Nergigante to ARK. Apparently the other two are alright because they are not iconic designs, and can easily be mistaken for other generic monsters or dinosaurs. Meanwhile, there is literally nothing we could do regarding Nergigante. We can't change horns, wings, spines, etc. We can't. If it looks vaguely like Nergigante in use, appearance, or anything at all, it cannot be tolerated. I'm sorry, but Nergigante cannot come to ARK in any way. I cannot do it without the mod getting taken down by Wildcard themselves. Also, fun fact, it's not just copyright content. It's because of my private Monster Hunter mod and ARK Online. Despite me having an absolutely massive mod set where I do literally everything else but port game models, Wildcard is specifically looking in my direction because I did a public ARK Online mod not once, but twice. In other words, I'm known for ports, so they're watching me. Despite the fact I do a ton of other mods, I did several IP ports. I'm sorry. As it currently stands, I will more than likely be deleting my private mods to hopefully lead to a better experience for you all. It's a sacrifice I'll make because I love you guys for all the work you've done for me, so thanks. We'll continue the Extinction Dragon mod as a Monster Hunter fan monster mod. Thank you, and once again, sorry. I will also be including the summary Riot did in his YouTube video about the whole situation, since it is another perspective and it does summarize events pretty well.
As of like 2 days ago, Wildcard got all crazy and decided that anything that resembles trademark monsters is gonna be removed. Like, I know every game in the freaking world has trademark mods. Skyrim, freaking Left 4 Dead. There's another one I was just playing, I can't even remember what it was, but I had an Iron Man Hulkbuster suit helping me out as a freaking NPC. Like, there's so many games that have, like, copyright trademark mods, but now Wildcard's deciding that any monster that resembles a trademarked creature will be removed. Luckily, many things are still gonna stay, like the Indominus, because since it doesn't have the frills, it doesn't resemble an Indominus that much. It could be any freaking dinosaur. It's lacking the basic details that the Indom has, so luckily that's safe. Godzilla ARK, the big Godzilla Pepezilla made safe too, because luckily he made some changes to it also from the freaking trademark version. Now, it's usually everything's been, you just can't take monsters from Capcom and put them in ARK. Exactly what this is. You can't do what this is. And that was understandable. This isn't on the workshop, and they took down every mod we tried to put on the workshop with it. But now they're saying the freaking Nergigante that I paid $600 and everyone else, like, we all fundraised together like $1,500 for that freaking thing. Maybe it might have been a little less. I can't remember exactly, but we put so much freaking money together because the rule was, up until like 2 days ago, the rule was as long as it's not ported in from another game, it's allowed. It's a fan project. We just wanted to play with the Nergigante, and we understand Capcom isn't gonna let us do that, so we decided to make our own. Realistically, on the video of the Nergigante, I was gonna make back like 5% of the money. It clearly wasn't profit driven. We just freaking wanted to make ARK more fun for everybody who plays it, you bastards. But now they're saying the whole porting monsters stuff in doesn't apply anymore. Now, any mod they decide is too trademark, too resembling to another trademark monster, that sentence didn't make a lot of sense, but I chugged a lot of G Fuel this morning, will not be allowed on the marketplace at all. Basically what I'm saying is that whole Nergigante that I hopefully am putting in front of you guys right now, which was just about complete. They were just finishing up some crazy animations that would have looked perfect in ARK, because basic lazy animations weren't enough for that big expensive project. And now they're saying it won't be allowed in the workshop at all. I literally won't even be able to post a video of it. Like, it won't be in the workshop for me either. Like, we're not getting that thing. So I don't know. I'm really emotionally confused right now. I understand it's a risky thing and it comes with risks. I'm not mad or upset with anybody. I'm more just really, really bummed out. Like, I'm not angry with any specific person. I more just want to go get drunk right now. That's it.
As a result, this Nergigante is now lost to time. It's been years, so the files are now gone, and the $1,000 has been completely wasted because Wildcard threatened to shut the mod down under the pretense of it being part of a copyright IP. You may have already noticed issues with this, so let's cut the bullshit and get right into it. Just from the timeline that the story takes place in, you can immediately see where the issues with Wildcard's decision begin to crop up. Before we get into the most blatant example of Wildcard's hypocrisy, Shadowlos does state that Wildcard is basically biased against him due to creating port mods before. Whether this is actually true or not, I don't know, and I'd rather not get too deep into this accusation. That's where it starts getting into he said, she said territory, and it isn't really the most blatant of Wildcard's heresies in regards to this issue. What is the problem here is that Wildcard claims that the Nergigante mod would fall under copyright, due to merely being associated with the IP in question, rather than actually being stolen work. While maybe not as obvious at the time, it has become blatantly apparent over the past 2 years that Wildcard does not uphold that same rule with basically any other mod that has released. This is Wildcard's hypocrisy. They target this one specific creature, and perhaps this single developer, under this rule, yet there is countless, and I do mean countless, mods out there that are blatantly associated with different IPs, that apparently to Wildcard are just fine? Somehow? Hell, there are so many examples of such mods that I can think of more than 5 off the top of my head. There's the Indominus Rex, there's Godzilla, Rodan, Skullcrawlers, Porgs, Baby Yoda, Fantastic Beasts, Echo the Dolphin, and the multiple Pokemon mods that are out there. And this doesn't even go into the ones that have items as stolen assets, the illegal mods disguised as tests, and those thousands of Chinese mods that steal stuff too. Hell, some of the specific ones I said, like the Pokemon mods, have their assets ripped from the games. How is it fair that all of these can just do whatever they want, but as soon as it is this Nergigante, they pull out the hammer? Even ignoring the fact that these mods break Wildcard's modding rules, something else that I didn't tell you is that the Nergigante was going to have a treatment akin to the Domination Rex. It was going to be called the Extinction Dragon, not Nergigante, and some of its anatomical features were to be slightly exaggerated, so it wasn't just a Nergigante clone. Did Wildcard think at least that was okay? No, they didn't. No ifs or buts about it. It's like a Monster Hunter monster, so it's not allowed. How is that fair? It is such a double standard. An excuse was given that the Domination Rex and Godzilla ARK are not exactly the iconic designs, but come the fuck on, yes they are. Like an Indominus without quills is suddenly not an Indominus anymore. What even is the logic here? Jurassic World and Godzilla are much more popular IPs than Monster Hunter is. They are much more recognizable than Nergigante, yet it's not allowed? Speaking of Godzilla, there is a reason why this issue is brought up now, rather than when it happened 2 years ago. Things have changed since this incident occurred. Not only are all those mods I just listed doing just fine, despite the supposed rules they break, but there is now a set of Godzilla mods on the scene that blatantly show Wildcard's hypocrisy, and, even more so than ever, favoritism. These mods include a Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, Muto, and Mothra being released onto the ARK workshop. It's not even handily referenced like Godzilla ARK was. They literally are just Godzilla and the other monsters. The Godzilla and Mechagodzilla models are ripped from PUBG, with custom animations. Mothra is the only one I know for a fact is 100% custom made. However, the specifics of this shouldn't really matter, right? They're literally the monsters from Godzilla, down to the name and exact appearance. Surely they shouldn't be allowed, right? Well, guess what? They are allowed. In fact, not only are they allowed, but Wildcard themselves seem to have actually gave them approval, so they don't even have the excuse of somehow not knowing about them. This is why Wildcard is guilty of hypocrisy and favoritism. The mod workshop currently has zero form of quality control, and the development team only seems to target very specific mods with supposed rule breaks, and completely ignore others, despite the fact that they should be held to the same standards. Again, this may seem like a weird thing to bring up now, nearly 2 years later, but I think this sets a dangerous precedent for future additions onto the ARK workshop. Under these conditions, what would be the line if somebody wants to create one of their favorite characters from a show or a game, like Primal or Dauntless? There is just no line, and it creates a situation where people receive nothing but mixed signals that can lead to disaster. It really just seems like Wildcard lets some mods do whatever they want, and then they intimidate others with possible legal threats. With the Nergigante situation, people lost hundreds of dollars to something that Wildcard gave them the illusion of being safe. It's an abuse of authority, and it's one of the reasons why I refuse to let this situation just slip under the rug. People are content to just let this happen because Wildcard is quote-unquote too big of a company to be challenged about such things, and that's really scary to me. People are somehow just content to work under this type of oppressive presence by a game company. Maybe, Wildcard, you should just let modders do their own thing all the time until there is a problem, like other games that actually have active modding do, instead of being the mod police that are hurting way more than they are helping. Just an idea. I'd like to thank you all for making it this far into the video. To end it, I'd like to talk about what I think the best votes for the Lost Island are, in my opinion. In the form of a tier list, because that's what I always do. This was originally going to be its own video, but I might as well lump it into this one. Sinomacrops is an F tier. It literally only exists because of the YouTube simps. Carcharodontosaurus is in D tier because it also sucks, but at least I'd see people use it if it was added. But still, we have 7 large theropods in the game already. We don't need another. Suchomimus is the exact same, but even worse. It cucked the Ant Queen out of the 10th place spot, the bastard, while not having much potential due to Spino and Barry already existing. Also, on a random side note, I find it really funny that Wildcard used my dossier for Sucho, despite the fact that the text is the exact same as the Baryonyx. Ceratosaurus is in C tier because it's actually really cool, and not really referenced that often in the ARK community, but it's still another large theropod. Leviathan I feel like would have a place due to Basilo being much more passive, but there's already a lot of big ocean carnivores. Yichi would be a cool shoulder pet, and it's not the product of YouTube simping, but shoulder pets shouldn't really have a place on votes like this anyway, in my opinion. I don't really have any strong opinions on Tanystrophes and Giant Bison, but I still think they'd be better picks than the others discussed so far, so B tier. A tier has Dinopithecus, which is a really cool and creative creature that will be my personal vote due to its current battle in the votes against generic theropod number 56. Also, how can you not like a monkey with a fucking gun? S tier is the Gorgonopsid, because it is really the only creature planned in the original ARK roster that didn't make it into the game. Look it up. The Ant Queen is also an S tier as an honorable mention. It fought hard with Sucho for that 10th place spot. Again, should have already been in the game. It was referenced with the Ant dossier, and Primal Survival was going to have ant colonies. Give us these, Wildcard. Alright, that's it for now. Bye bye!